Hello, doing another Beatles review, and the one I'm reviewing is Yellow Submarine. So Yellow Submarine is, well, technically it's the 10th studio album by the Beatles, but because if you don't count Magical Mystery Tour, but of course, well, everyone counts Magical Mystery Tour these days, don't they? So yeah, I'm going to say this is their 11th studio album. Although it's not really a full studio album, but it's the soundtrack to the animated film of the same name. And yeah, I really like the movie. The Beatles don't actually have a lot of involvement with the film, though. They don't actually voice themselves in the movie, although they do make a live action cameo at the end of the film, which is really good. And yeah, this is actually my least favourite Beatles album. It's not a bad album, but it's my least favourite, and you're about to find out why. So I'm going to go through the tracks. So track 1 is the title track, Yellow Submarine, which it's exactly the same version that's from Revolver. So yeah, it's already been released. So yeah, this was the movie was released in the summer of 1968. Soundtrack didn't come out until January 13th, 1969, so I don't know why they waited that long to release the soundtrack album, but it is what it is. And yeah, but Yellow Submarine was already on Revolver. But it's understandable why it's on here, because obviously the movie was called Yellow Submarine, so they obviously needed to use the song in the movie, and because it was in the film, it needed to be on the soundtrack album as well. So that's pretty understandable. But I'm not going to talk too much about Yellow Submarine, because obviously I already reviewed Revolver, and if you want to know, more of my thoughts on that song, then check out my review on Revolver, and you'll know that I absolutely love Yellow Submarine. It's one of my favourite songs. Track 2 is Only a Northern Song. This is a great song. This is a George Harrison song. It's very psychedelic. It's got a droning organ throughout, kind of similar to Blue Jay Way on the Magical Mystery Tour. It's also got animal noises on it as well, some brass instruments. And yeah, this song was actually recorded for Sgt. Pepper, but it didn't make it onto the album, but it was used on here. But yeah, it's a great song. Track 3 is the Paul song. This is the only Paul song that's on the album, and that is All Together Now. It's a fun song. It's not one of my all-time favourites, but it's fun. It's basically a children's song. It's acoustic guitars. There's even banjo on here as well, and yeah, it's basically just an innocent. It's just an innocent, fun song. It's a kid's song. It's fun. It's not one of my favourites, but it's enjoyable. It's definitely enjoyable. And this was also recorded for Sgt. Pepper as well. So yeah, this is another song that was recorded during the Sgt. Pepper sessions. Track 4 is Hey Bulldog. This is the John Lennon song. This is a great song. This is like a hard, not a heavy song. It's the heaviest song on the album. I love that piano at the beginning, and then the heavy guitar. Yeah, brilliant song. Love Hey Bulldog. And track 5 is another George Harrison song. It's All Too Much. And yeah, this is another psychedelic song. Yeah, I love it's got this brilliant distorted guitar. And the brass section is fantastic as well. And the organ on here as well. It's such a great song. It's a song about drugs. It's to do with George's when he's just coming off LSD. But yeah, it's a fantastic song. And this is also from the Sgt. Pepper recordings. This is also recorded for Sgt. Pepper. So most of this album is actually some unreleased stuff from the Sgt. Pepper sessions. And track 6 is All You Need Is Love, which is obviously off of it's already been on Magical Mystery Tour, and it's the same version that was on Magical Mystery Tour. So again, if you want to know my thoughts on this song, watch my Magical Mystery Tour review. But yeah, and I do love this song, but I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've already covered it on the Magical Mystery Tour review. And yeah, the reason it's on here is because it was used in the film. I can understand why Yellow Submarine's on here, because obviously it needed a title track, but All You Need Is Love, they didn't really need to include it on here. I mean, yeah, it was used in the film, but there was a lot of other Beatles songs from previous albums, like songs from Sgt. Pepper, songs from Rubber Soul, that were used in the film, but they didn't include them on here, so I don't know why they put All You Need Is Love on there. So yeah, that's the last Beatles track on the album. The rest of the tracks, Pepperland, Sea of Time, Sea of Holes, Sea of Monsters, March of the Meanies, Pepperland Laid Waste, and Yellow Submarine in Pepperland, which is an instrumental orchestral version of Yellow Submarine. Yes, all those tracks are the instrumental film scores by George Martin, which is fine in the context of a movie soundtrack. They're actually really enjoyable to listen to, but it's not what I want to hear when I'm listening to a Beatles album. So yeah, what I think they should have done was probably release the Beatles stuff and the George Martin stuff separately. So yeah, that's pretty much all this album is. So there's only 6 real Beatles songs on here, and 2 of them already came from previous album sessions. I mean, well, they were already released on previous albums. And then, so you've only really got 4 new songs here, but 3 of those new songs are technically not new. They were unreleased songs from the Sgt. Pepper sessions. And Hey Bulldog is the only song that was recorded specifically for this album. So it's only really got 1 brand new song on here. And yeah, it's because the Beatles were, at this time, they were busy working on the White Album. So they didn't really have time to record any new songs for the movie as well. So they recorded Hey Bulldog. That was the only new song they recorded specifically for the film soundtrack. And the other 3, Only a Northern Song, All Together Now, and It's All Too Much, they recycled them from the Sgt. Pepper sessions and then used those in the film. And they're all great songs. All 4 of those songs are great. I love them. But it's just not a very consistent album. So yeah, it's got 2 songs that have already been released, and then 4 newly released songs, and then the other half is the film score by George Martin. So it's only really half a Beatles album, really. So yeah, in my opinion, I think the 4 newly released songs, I think what they should have done was release them on an EP. And I think that's what they were going to do. They were going to release them on an EP of just those 4 songs, but I think they wanted they wanted a full album. But no, I think they should have stuck with the EP idea. They should have just released those songs on an EP, because you got Yellow Submarine was already on Revolver. All You Need Is Love was on Magical Mystery Tour, and the George Martin score is great, but it's not what I want to hear on a Beatles album. So this is very much similar to the American versions of the Hard Day's Night and Help albums, because I did mention that the American record company had changed how the Beatles albums were released. In America, they were released differently, and yeah, what they did to Hard Day's Night and Help was a bit sacrilege, because in the UK, those 2 albums, they were proper albums. Like, I think they were still soundtracks, but they were still full albums as well, because it was all songs. But the American versions, what the American record company did to those two albums, they basically removed. They only included the songs that were in the film, and then added George Martin's or instrumental scores. Whereas the UK versions of those two albums included the movie songs and some Beatles songs that were not in the film. So yeah, so this is pretty much like that. So yeah, what I'm hoping they'll do, I'm hoping they'll do this one day. They'll release a compilation CD that includes all of the instrumental film scores that George Martin composed for all of the Beatles films. So scores from Hard Day's Night, the scores from Help, and the scores from this, and put them on a compilation. That would be so much better, and I would buy it. I would actually listen to that, because I actually really like George Martin's talent. And the four newly released Beatles songs that are on here, they should have just released them on an EP. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But it's still an enjoyable listen, but it's just not cohesive as an album. So yeah, I'm gonna give this I'll give this a 7 out of 10. I think that's a fair rating. You know, it's not bad. It's good. It's enjoyable. But it just doesn't feel cohesive. It doesn't feel like a full album. But yeah, I enjoy listening to it. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed that review. And I'm sorry it wasn't a very long review, but it's just not really a lot to this album, to be honest, but it's enjoyable. So yeah, my next review will be on Abbey Road. So I hope you look forward to that. I'm certainly looking forward to that. And I'll see you then.